Okay, so we're going to be reviewing a 1-2 hand from PokerStars. So I have 10-9 suited on the button. We get a min raise, and this is from this Maniac player that I have showed a few hands with before. This player is coming in very wide. They are min 3-betting, doing a lot of weird stuff. So they go ahead and min raise from under the gun. Their range is likely to be all over the place. We get a pretty tight player next to them, so this player VPIPs 19% of the time standard. That's, voluntarily put money in the pot. But their percent raise is only 7%. Their 3-bet percentage is 3%. I've played 4,000 hands with this player, so those stats are good. This player has 1 through 4,000 hands. 4,000 hands is kind of small sample size to really determine a win rate, but this player's probably not an idiot. We get another call from another tight aggressive player. VPIP 19%, percent raise 10%, 3-bet 3%. So I am sitting in the, like I said, I'm sitting in the button with 10-9 suited. 10-9 suited has great implied value. You have suited connectors. You're going to be playing in position, which is going to help you to realize your equity much better. Because you're going to be last to act on all subsequent streets. The blinds go ahead and fold. You are a little bit worried about getting squeezed there, but nothing too crazy happens. So I go ahead and flop trips here. So 2 9s and a 3, potential flush draw on the board there with the 2 spades. You might be worried about. There's not much I'm worried about here. Pocket 3s. Someone at the table could have pocket 3s. It's possible, but the number of combinations of hands out there, it's highly unlikely. There is also an extra 9 in the deck, so somebody could have a 9 with a better kicker. Again, pretty unlikely. The initial raiser goes ahead and min bets here. It's just one of those things where this is a fish, and they're doing things that don't make any sense. The villain to their left goes ahead and raises, but they don't raise very big here. They raise it to 8. So, that's less than a half pot bet. They're betting $8 into 23. I'm here with trips. I don't necessarily, so I have to call. You could argue that I should raise for protection and value. I think that if I raise here, I very likely fold out anything worse than trips. Even with this early position Maniac right here, who mid-bet, I kind of want to keep him around by just calling and letting him, think maybe he has a shot and stick around. Even a player that's that wild who gets all their money in pre-flop, they may just go ahead and fold it out here whenever there's 2 9s on the board and they're facing a raise and a re-raise. So I have to go ahead and call. That villain then min raises here, so they, min lead and then min raise. Then the player to the left calls. I'm going to go ahead and call. It's not really a difficult decision given the pot odds that I'm getting here. Calling an additional, $6 into what was a 50-something pot with trips. Pretty easy decision. The turn is Yahtzee. It's freaking great for me. It brings in a flush, which good chance one of the opponents here has a flush, so it's going to allow me to get paid from them. It also means that I'm ahead of pocket 3s. I'm ahead of everything except for pocket 10s, and the odds of one of them having pocket 10s are low. Although I will say, the villain who just called pre-flop, it wouldn't surprise me if they have a pocket pair, like say pocket 8s or something like that. Maybe even an overpair. I think they would have 3-bet against a min raise with something like say pocket 10s, jacks, queens. But something like pocket 8s maybe. They might have just flatted and then kind of raised there. So they go ahead and lead here. Again, small sizing. They're betting $12 into a $63 pot. It's curious. Are they just trying to get value out of really bad hands? Like just trying to keep really bad hands around? Yeah, possibly. People have discussed it before. Whenever the pots get bigger and kind of swell up, the money might seem smaller because relative to the pot size it is, and that's obviously, pot odds are something you strongly want to consider, and the odds that you're getting are important, but, it also brings up the case for thin value betting, because $12 might not seem like a lot of money whenever we're looking at a pot that already has $63 in it and we're 3-way, but, sometimes whenever you're betting on the later streets of the river, like something like that, and you make those small bets, just trying to get called off, it's a nice pickup. $12. If you're making $12 is what, 6 big blinds. You're probably, I make about 6 big blinds for every 100 hands I play, so it's not nothing. It's just allowing you to win more chips. So sometimes when it comes towards checking versus just betting small is fine. I do go ahead and opt to raise. Villain shoves. They had a flush, a king high flush. Kind of curious that they wanted to get all their money in with the second nut flush with the board paired. Whenever all the money goes in and you have a hand like a king high flush on a paired board and 3 spades on the board, a lot of the time you're going to be behind when you get called. If the board wasn't paired, I think it's perfectly fine because there are a lot of smaller flushes out there. There still are smaller flushes out there that player may hope to get called by. And look, they may not know me very well, but I am not going to be raising their turn bet there with a weaker flush. A lot of the time, I'm just going to be. Maybe I will because it was so small and because I want to get some protection. But a lot of the time, I feel like that's just a call because you just. If I had a smaller flush in a situation like that, I don't want to raise and only get called off by a better hand. Just a general rule of poker. Early streets, I think it's fine to bet for protection. Obviously, the later you go on the turn and river, you just don't want to be making a lot of bets that are only going to be called by better hands. So I am just very happy to get all my money in there. The Maniac contributed some dead money. The other villain I was playing against didn't necessarily play their hand very well, and I kind of just happened into a strong hand. But again, if you're only facing a 2 big blind raise with multiple callers and you're going to see a hand in position, this is a great example of just seeing a hand in position and seeing a flop in position, seeing what develops, and sometimes good things happen.